existence for about 4 years now.
Honorable Deputy Minister, you made a statement. This is a system you have inherited. Inherited from who?
Mr. Chairman, what I meant to say is that it is something we are trying to roll out all the agencies onto it. So it is something that we have inherited, that we are working on to improve the system such that moving forward.
I heard it perfectly that you inherited. My question is, you inherited from who?
From the previous system, administration.
We are not looking at accounts of government, people who are being government. We are looking at accounts of Ghana.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I understand that perfectly. But what I was trying to say is that it is something that...
So I thought you tell me that you inherited from Nigeria.
No, Mr. Chairman.
It is account of Ghana.
It's the account of Ghana. But what I meant to say is that this is a new administration. And then we are trying to see to it that all the other agencies that were not on it previously, I mean, we're trying to put them on the system moving forward so that next time or in the next Auditor General's reports, this particular infraction will not appear in it. That was what I meant by saying that.
The system was meant to run, and there's a timeline on when these organizations come on board, when these source of funding come on board, and that. If you say that you have inherited and you are now trying to put some...
One major factor is, as the controller said, the connectivity. In fact, you can have an MDA in Accra, but to bring that MBD on board, there's a lot of infrastructure that you need to put in place at the MDA level and train people and do the necessary infrastructure to enable you to bring that MDA on board. When we started, we were using transaction processing centers with the expectation that people will carry their documents and go to the site and then process their transactions. We learned very quickly that when you talk about a particular ministry, there are so many departments within that ministry. So it's not just the ministry head office. So for every ministry, if you take like a Ministry of Finance, we have the Accountant General Department, we have GRA, we have a number of institutions under the ministry. If you take the Ministry of Roads and Highways, you have highway, you have urban roads, you have other departments.
That's all right. I want to refer you to paragraph 50. And this is the Auditor General's position. Okay. I am of the opinion that as all MDAs have been fully deployed on the gift miss and payments noted above were not payments for emergencies, there's no reasonable excuse for processing payments outside of the system.
Yes, we've noted that. That's why I'm saying that when we say MDAs have been rolled out onto the gift miss, I mean, that is true. As we speak, all MDAs can process their transactions on the gift miss. But not all the agencies under the respective ministries are connected. So the logistics of making sure that you post all these transactions on the gift miss is one issue that we are dealing with. In fact, as we speak, like I said, not all MDAs and all sources of funds are on the gift miss. So for 2016, when we get our report, we realize that IGS, for instance, the auditors will report that IGS were not all processed on gift miss. We will have to respond to that. Fortunately for us, we can now say that all the government of Ghana transactions will now be on gift miss. I mean, because that's source of funds.
Can you give us timelines as to when you would fully comply with the recommendations of the Auditor General?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honestly, we cannot sit here and give timelines. We need to discuss with the technical people as well as the minister and all those involved. So we cannot give timelines, but we assure you that we are working on it, and we believe that we will get the results that we are all looking for.
Yes, attempts were made to recover. There was even a desk at the Ministry of Finance that was responsible for the recoveries, public debt recovery. So, and even as of now, some of these companies, where we are able to, we chase them and then recover the monies. But a number of them, they are still in the books, but there's a difficulty even in tracing them.
Mr. Chairman, my last comment. Some of these people, some of these individuals, we all know them. They are walking around They have companies that are operating. We're talking about these individuals. So I don't know if I should give you a policeman to go around and get these people. That was just on the lighter side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will help Controller and Accountant General and all of us to retrieve these monies from those defaulters, please.
Chairman, with your permission, let me ask the Controller and Accountant General, a seasoned accountant, you are aware of the Limitation Act. When you now realize that there are individuals, and the Limitation Act has to do with individuals, not government institutions. Now, we are talking about 10 or 15 years. Don't you think that these individuals can go scot-free? Because you cannot challenge this if you choose to go to court using the Limitation Act of 10 years. That you are aware, the Limitation Act will give you only 6 years. Can you explain that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before Controller comes in, on page 47, it's institutions, not individuals. They are companies, no, he's saying individuals, but they are companies. Yes, on page 47.
Mr. Chairman,
they are companies.
Privately owned companies, not state-owned.
Yes, so, but they are not individuals. That's what I want to say, that they are not individuals.
And the Limitation Act applies to the individual and individual companies, not state.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that, but I just want us to clarify this, that they are not individuals. They may be private companies, but they are actually companies, not individuals.
Well, I think that it's a matter of semantics. They're actually referring to private companies.
Yes, because honourable member said the individuals are working freely, but they are private companies. So, Controller, please go ahead.
Yes, Honourable Chair. These loans have been given out several years ago. Every year we attempt to recover. And like we said, we gave you a list of how much we've been able to recover from some of these companies. So efforts are made to recover these monies. Every year we try as much as possible to recover. And even this year, those that we've been able to chase, we have been able to recover. So not that nobody has bothered to recover. The effort is always on. But what I'm saying is that much as these companies exist in our books, some of them we may have to look at them again. For instance, you look at Ghana Bottling Company, Pepsi Cola. The place is bushy. There's nothing happening there. So,
Mr. Chairman, it's interesting that he will give examples of companies that have gone out of business. But there are some private companies that are still operating over here. You get 18 million out of 1.5 billion, and we should clap for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is not good enough. Like I said, we'll work closely with Controller to retrieve these loans.
Do we have a dedicated debt recovery desk at the ministry?
Yes.
If we don't, let's try and get a dedicated desk for that purpose.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's a recovery desk, but we will strengthen it and do everything possible, to draw the attention of these people that these are the amounts that they owe, so they should come in and recover these, and help us recover these monies.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable Kankam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want the Controller to update this exhibit that was sent to us this morning. I think it's about the payments, receipt numbers, but they need to give us balance for us to know the real statement of financial position of the debtors, if they can do that for us.
Well, so you mean to say what is something that you can verify yourself, taking at the account?
Yes, Mr.
But you want it to be done that if you take Novotel,
because
what does the amounts before the recovery and what is the balance outstanding?
That would be easy for those who don't know much about accounting.
Okay.
To just read through this one. Mr. Chairman, let's go to page 6 of the main report, paragraph 3.51. Sorry, the accounts. Page 6, paragraph 3.5.1. Bank account tracking. Chairman, I want to read the last sentence. Say, currently, details of over 1,500 bank accounts at both Bank of Ghana and Commercial Bank have been captured onto the system. May I know the number of bank accounts the country or the state has? This is over 1,500 bank accounts. So is there any other account somewhere that we are not aware? Because last time I read it in the media that Ghana operates almost 6,000 bank accounts. How true is that?
Yes, Honorable Chair, the current position is that all the bank accounts have been transferred, or they're in the process of transferring them to the TSA at Bank of Ghana. A number of banks have been decoupled or closed down. I don't have the figures now, but the active ones which the MDAs are running are the ones that we have instructed them through Bank of Ghana to transfer all their balances to Central Bank for the to be part of the TSA account.
I think the question is how many of the accounts that we are operating now as a country, of which you are instructing that those with the commercial bank should be transferred to the TSA.
Honorable Chair, I will furnish you with the figures, but we don't have it as of now. We know it, we have it, but it wasn't part of the document that we carried along. But
Mr. Controller, you have given us a financial statement of government, and in that financial statement, you have bank balances. How many accounts from which you pull those balances to form the balance you have in the financial statement for us?
Mr. Chair, the balance in the accounts represent the balance in the consolidated fund. This account is prepared on the consolidated fund account. So that is the position, sir.
Is it the consolidated fund is a fund?
It's a bank account, sir.
It has a number of bank accounts.
Yes, sir.
But you say it's a bank account. No.
Bank account.
It's a fund with a number of bank accounts. How many bank accounts?
I can furnish you, sir, with the details.
Does it mean that Ghana governments have some funds somewhere which has not been transferred into the consolidated fund but have not been captured in this report?
Okay, please let me highlight or tell you a little bit about the way we operate. The consolidated fund is a bank account or number of bank accounts. We have the revenue bank accounts and we have the expenditures bank account. What we often call the T-main, Treasury main cash account. That is the omnibus bank account. All revenues flow from various sources, GRA, non-tax, what have you. They all flow through EcoBank, Commercial Bank, and other accounts into a receive account or a revenue account at Bank of Ghana. Then we clean up because checks go in, cash also goes in. So what happens is that when such revenues are flowed into the revenue account, then the cash and near cash accounts are all flowed into the T-main. In the same vein, the same T-main is where we do disbursements. So when disbursements are made on cash, on budget approvals, where we get, warrants and release letters, which are also processed through the GIFMIS, and ultimately we advise Bank of Ghana to transfer money from the T-main into the various sub-consolidated fund bank accounts. The sub-consolidated fund bank accounts represent the accounts of the MDAs. They are all, many of them are at the Bank of Ghana. But you see, This account is prepared on the T-main. That is, revenues flow in, so we report on revenues. Disbursements are made by way of compensation for item 1, goods and services for item 2, and capex for item 3, capital expenditure. They are all made from this T-main account, and that is how we report it. So these accounts, there are other funds. You see, when you look at the definition of public funds, it says the public funds shall be made of the consolidated fund, the contingency fund, and any other fund established by an act of parliament. All these are clustered or put into the definition of public funds. But we report, for that matter, on the consolidated fund. When the auditors go to audit, they audit GET fund, which is outside the consolidated fund. It's also a public fund. They go and audit National Health Insurance Fund, which is outside the consolidated fund, but it is a public fund. But we, as a controllers department, we report on the consolidated fund. And again, Mr. Chair, all revenues, all payments made into these funds are made from the consolidated fund. In fact, we strictly go by the law. The law says all revenues must be lodged. The same constitution has a caveat, which says that some revenues which might have flowed into the consolidated fund will have to be paid from consolidated fund and lodged into these other funds. So these other funds, reports or accounts are prepared by the managers of these funds, and the Auditor General has the right to audit them as well. So you will find that apart from the consolidated fund, they will present a report on GET fund, which is not part of this. They will report on DACF, this is Assembly Common Fund, which is also a whole fund, which is not part of this. Thank you, sir.
Just a minute. This is a very interesting area that we are getting, and I want education from Mr. Controller. When you transfer or you disburse money from the consolidated fund to an MDA, do you consider it to be expenditure?
Not at all. It is not expenditure.
At what point do you consider as part of expenditure?
Mr. Chair, in the revenue and expenditures accounts, we also have what we call receipts and payments accounts. Even loans coming into the government are not revenues. Loans are receipts. So we accordingly report the loans in the receipt account. We don't show we don't show loans as revenues because they are to be paid. But we would report on revenues, taxes in the revenue account. So that is the difference.
I understand perfectly that we have receipts and payment account. We have revenue and expenditure accounts. Now, my question is, at what point do you consider a payment out of the consolidated fund to, let's say, Ministry of Education? At what point do you consider it to be an expenditure, if not payments? Because the payment and expenditure are not the same. Yes. So you transfer 100 million to Ministry of Education not for item 1, for goods and services. Probably is paid into an MDA account, which is not a consolidated fund, if I'm right. Do you consider that payment as an expenditure?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have transfers and we have disbursements and we have expenditures. You rightly said goods and services. When we pay goods and services to Ghana Education Service, or for that matter, MOE, it is expenditure. But when we transfer money from consolidated fund into GET fund, it's a payment or a transfer.
Yeah. Is it always, Chief Director, before you come, is it always that every transfer you make to Ministry of Education or Ghana Education Service for goods and services, is it always an expenditure?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, we take note of the fact that we are before a chairman who knows the public account system inside out, because he's been in the system before. So we are very careful how we respond to you. Not every payment to education for goods and services is expenditure. I mean, as we try to explain, they have their sub-CF account. So money can be transferred into that account, and until they have gone onto the GIFME system and recorded an expenditure and gone through the process of, getting requisition, goods delivered, grading invoice, and it's approved on the system, then it becomes expenditure. But all those details, maybe I think people are able to help us to clarify.
That is clear. That is clear. Thank you very much. Honorable Kankam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to know from the controller, if you go to page 5 of the executive summary, it talks about the delays in the transfers of the non-tax revenue by commercial bank. From the answer he gave to us, that he reported on cash or monies in the consolidated fund alone, does it mean all the amounts here that is captured in paragraph 16, that all monies with the commercial banks are supposed to be sent to the consolidated fund, and interest must also be charged on those funds, were not part of the accounts that you prepared?
Honorable Chair, I didn't say that. Yes, please. I didn't.
Kindly explain to us, because he said that the accounts were prepared based on what is in the consolidated fund.
But
these monies were with the commercial banks, so it wasn't in the consolidated fund. So was it captured at the end of the?
Yes. If at the time of the accounts, when the accounts was prepared, we did not capture it, it doesn't mean we did not recognize it. If when it came to our attention, they were paid into the account, so they will be reported in the subsequent accounts as part of the revenue in the consolidated fund. So it's a matter of timing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, on the same page 5 of the executive summary, paragraph 14, it seems the system was abused by somebody. The GIFME system was abused by somebody, because somebody made payment outside the system. Was there any punishment for that, those who did that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We have said it here a couple of times that we admit that there were some lapses, but moving forward, we are working on these things such that payments are not done outside the GIFME system. And thankfully, there's the PFM Act is here to guide us. So, that should go a long way to putting checks and balances such that these things don't happen again. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to know from controller, if you go to page 23 of the executive summary, there's a table there, paragraph 89 to 93 and 94 to 98. It talks about the delays in transfer into the GET fund and the District Assembly Common Fund. If you look at the auditor's comment, the 2015 amount has been paid, but there is outstanding in 2014. This applies to the two funds. So when are we going to pay the 2014 outstanding? Because I know some contractors, some people have done a job that are supposed to be paid with this fund. Has it been paid, or is it still outstanding? I just want to know that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Like I said with the DACF, these are arrears that we have inherited, but we are doing everything possible to see to it that we clear these debts. Like it was stated in our budget, we are going to go ahead and work with all these people to see to it that these debts are cleared. But moving forward, for 2017, I don't think GET fund is in arrears in 2017, but we are going to make sure that the 2014 and any other arrears that are with GET fund are sorted out as and when funds are available. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, last question. Page 35 of the accounts. I think paragraph 34. trust monies. I quite remember some time ago, the president of the republic at that time and some of the ministers agreed that there should be 10% cut in their salary. And they wanted to use that money to build cheap compounds for some towns or for some villages in this country. But if you look at the statement here, looking at it, the 2015, it seems you recorded 0.
What page is that?
That is page 35.
Honorable member, you didn't know the endpoints of that voluntary offer.
So
you didn't know. So if 2015 there was no reports, probably the endpoint was 2014. You could see an amount of 896,457 Ghana cedis reported for 2014. I thought your question would have been, what was the end point of that policy voluntary decision by political appointees?
Mr. Chairman, I did not conclude. You just picked this to me. You just took the question out of my mouth. Please, maybe Ghanaians want to know. Ghanaians, because this is a public document. If somebody picked this document and this explanation is not there.
I think at the point I'm making, you should understand. If the end point is 2016, 2015, and there was nothing reported for 2015, then your question is relevant. So as of the end point first.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the controller or the minister why 0 was recorded in 2015, because we knew there was a 10% cut in the salaries of government appointees for construction of cheap compounds for the various towns and villages.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think the Deputy Controller has some information to share on this particular one. They will be in the best position to answer to this particular.
Yeah, Chairman, when the policy was initiated by the government, we were holding the money in trust. Subsequently, they decided that we should bring the money to them. So as and when we deduct from the payroll, it goes directly to the owner of the money. And that's why in 2015, we didn't see anything at all. Because that money was not meant for government. It was their own voluntary money, which initially we were holding in trust. So subsequently, when they said, as soon as we deduct, bring it to us, definitely it should go to them. That was the reason.
Thank you very much. Because I want the people of Ghana to know that that money has been sent to whether the presidency or the ministries or wherever that money was, because the controller did not hold the money in trust for it, for the policy again. Yes. My last question.
Your time is up.
Oh.
How many last questions do you have?
Mr. Chairman, I share my time with you because
how many last questions
I was sharing the time with you.
It's not about your time. You said your last question, and you have exhausted that last question. If we say
his very last question.
The last question.
We don't have very last question. So I come to write. If Honorable Unto has any question, he has just come in, so I'll ask him to rest.
Okay.
So, Nana, if you have any question, your time starts. So, Deputy Ranking Member.
Okay, thank you. Controller, I want you to refer to page 7 of your report. International Public Sector Accounting Standard. Yeah, you said it was launched in November 2014. Hello? And that you are doing a phase implementation. So where is the stage? In fact, you have even stated that when you are preparing the public accounts for the consolidated, you keep it in view. What do you mean by that?
Yes, Honorable Chair, the IPSAS, International Public Sector Accounting Standards. We have, as has been captured here, we have already started with the process, and it's a project that will enable us migrate onto that platform of preparing accounts to comply with the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. What it means is that when we prepare our accounting or our financial statement to comply with that standards, it will mean we are reporting in the same manner that any other country which will also prepare its accounts. Standards are concepts and
my point is that
the point. Please let me. It is we are on course. The project has started. We even have introduced the chart of accounts, which is also part of it, which has been launched, and training is ongoing. We have we've gone.
My point is that why do it was launched in 2014, but you said you go to full implementation in 2022.
Yeah, because of funding. Because it's, as I say, it's a project.
Maybe it's not important, or?
It is. But the point is, we needed funding to be able to go through the whole process of migrating onto that system, that accounting standard system.
Very well. Policy on doubtful debt, provision for bad debts. What is the policy as far as preparing this account is concerned? The bad debt provision.
You know, we have. I want to go back. We used to prepare government accounts based on cash. Now we have the same IPSAS that you mentioned. We have introduced a semi-accrual. In fact, we need to go accrual like any private company does. So when we have gotten onto that stage, then we will be able to make provision for debts. Because in the past, it was purely cash. But now that we are accruing, receivables are all accrued, loans are accrued. When we even buy an asset, it's still captured. So provisions are made.
No, I put it on. When you provided for bad debt at the beginning of 2015, for a particular debt, what do we expect to happen at the end of the year if actual debt arises or not?
Normally in accounting, when you make provision and the debts are declared unrecoverable, then you write them off using the provision as a cover to write it off. So that is why the provision is still.
So at the beginning of 2015, you made provision for some debts. So what is the status?
It's still there, but we haven't written off any debt yet. We can't write it off until we get approval from the authority to write it off. And I'm saying we have made a provision already there. So once the approval is granted for the debt to be written off, then the provision covers it. So that is.
I want us to look at the debt status of a publishing company, Ghana Publishing Company. Ghana Publishing Company, you can find it on page, Ghana Publishing Company. On page 46. Are you okay? 46. You have seen it.
An amount of 811,000.
Yeah, and you made 811,607. That's the beginning debt.
Yes.
Then you provided to write off 3 310,563.
Please, which page is that?
Go to provision for doubtful debt shadow on page 46. No, 46 is a debt. The provision is on provision for doubtful debts. Yeah, in fact, I did, but because you didn't. $310,563.
Still searching for it.
Page 76.
76.
Line 27. 27. Yeah.
Have you seen kind of publications?
Yeah. 27.
Okay, 10.
Yeah, 10,000.
Yes. Under the miscellaneous. Yes, so like as explained, the provision is there, all right. So if the authority, the owners of the business grants that authority for the debt to be written, then we can equally write off 310,000 from the 811 that we saw there. But we cannot do it. This is a provision.
So this figure represents what number of years? Is it for 2015 alone or cumulative?
It's accumulation. No, then we build on. It's accumulated provisional figures. They are provision.
There is one company, Sarifin Surgicals, the same under general number 17. Sarifin
102, 39,143.
So that one total write-off.
Yes, if that could write off the total debt, so be it. But we cannot do that until we get the authority.
So you have agreed at this stage that the complete debt should be written off. Yes, that is what we have provided in the account.
The way we have even presented account is the best approach. We have made provision. Because
my question really is, you agree at this stage that the debt is bad and we should write it off completely?
The debts are doubtful. You see, even sometimes in companies, what we do is that even when the debts are even written off, they still keep the balances in some account somewhere, hoping that one day they will be able to recover, and they come in as other receipts. That is how they.
So the doubtful debt is equivalent to the loan at this stage. Is that you have convinced yourself beyond that reasonable doubt that if they so we should write it off completely?
Yeah, it was the balance we see in there is not the full cost or value of the loan. The loan was given, some repayments were made in the future.
Let's go to page 50. Page 50.
15.
50. Best as press under NP 212 and the MP 212. Best as press. Yes, you get it. Are you there?
Yes.
no loan at the beginning of 2015. Can you see it?
Besters Press, 2933, so recoveries.
No, there wasn't loan at the beginning of the period. Yet we have recorded recoveries. Where did it come from? Yeah. If you don't have, somebody doesn't owe you, and you have recovered money from him.
I don't know what is that. Besters, who is Besters? Mr. Chairman, I think we'll find out, we'll investigate exactly, because you could see that there's a debit and credit, and it's a zero there's a zero. Maybe an error, which was probably identified, and then it was cleared. That's the way I'm seeing it, because you see a debit and a credit as well. So it could be an error which was later detected, and it was corrected.
Page 43. Salary advance, page 43. Are you the Minister of Foreign Affairs? Ministry of Foreign Affairs. For the year under consideration, we have given salary advance to staff in excess of 1 million guidance lease to add to the existing debt of 8,500. Can you see it?
Yes, I've seen it.
So in the whole year of 2005, no single recovery.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, normally we don't grant salary advances, but we record as and when the advances are granted by various authorities who actually give to the workers. Because we record to recover the...
Mr. Controller, you see, there's a policy for salary advance to staff. To take it, there's a minimum threshold to be given, repayment schedule, etc. So if there's an existing loan and you have added on, and there's no single recovery for that particular year, is it not a concern?
No, this existing loan is how much was left on the account to be recovered from their salaries.
Exactly.
That does not bar prevent or...
I'm not talking about the additional loan. I'm just talking about the recovery for 2015. Recovery. Yes. No single recovery.
Okay, that is an issue.
The same applies to the Minister of Health.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. What...
The Minister of Health... Okay. Then we'll give him more time.
Okay, Honorable Chair, with the barrage of, we would please give us time. We'll go back and we'll look into it and then we'll report.
On Minister of Health. Minister of Health, can you see?
78.
Yes. You have recovered more than the loan is given. Can you see it too?
Yeah, we will still would go back and check on some of these balances.
Mr. Chairman.
And report.
Yeah, concerning salary advances, can you please give us some time to go and rectify things and get back to you? We will assist controller to rectify it and then get back to you. Thank you very much.
I don't know, but there's one more on advances to boards and corporations, including even other other international organizations, including governments, where we have a tall list of over 540 institutions that government has contracted loan, or who have contracted loan from government departments and from the consolidated fund. And there is no single recoveries apart from 3 institutions out of the 540 for the 2015.
Please, the page.
It's a whole lot, the whole schedule on loan receivables. If you tally them, you are going to get 540 institutions, including boards and corporations.
out of that 540, only 3 institutions made recovery for 2015. It's a very serious situation. The total amount involved is over 1 billion Ghana cedis. The total amount involved is over 1 billion.
Honorable member, are you referring to?
No, I'll come to that. It's here. It's the shadow. 46. Yeah, 46. No, 60. Yeah, that's exactly. It's okay.
Well, I think it's starting from page 45. Loan receivables schedule. These are the institutions and companies that are owing governments. And it is out of that, the list, the sheet given to us, are paid during a year. So it's not only 3. If you say only 3, this is recovery in 2016, 2015.
No, but the charge is 2016.
Mr. Chairman, this is per the statement is from 1st January to 31st December 2016, and the recoveries amount to a grand total of 18.7.
Yes, so Honourable Member, it is based on this and the recommendation of the Auditor General.
Yes.
That is why they made the effort
to collect 18.75.
Yeah.
No votel, no votel. No votel. If you come to your loan recovery for 2016, if you put the two payments made by Novotel together, you are going to get 2,504,109.76. That's what you get for recoveries. Yeah, on this one. Are you there? Yeah, I'm about to finish.
Honorable, that should be your last question.
Okay, let's deal with the Novotel.
What is your question? They want you to repeat the question.
I want them to know whether if you put the two figures appearing on their 2016 recoveries data, whether it will give you 2,504,109.79.
2 million?
Yeah.
Which is are you talking about? Is it this one?
We're holding here.
This is 18 million recovery. 18 million recovery.
Here we have Novotel.
Novotel, there are two.
Novotel, there's a recovery of 1.2 million. There's another one. Another 1.2 million.
So if you put it together, you get 2 million.
That's about 2.5 million.
Yeah, that's about 2.5 million.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to know whether if you sum it, that's what we get. I want them to tell me first.
But that is all you get. But you can't make any reference to it here because that information will not be contained in this document. It will be contained here.
Okay.
It will not be here because this is 2015. And based on this, the recommendation made them to collect this additional one here.
So it is not. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Vice Chairman.
Chairman, I will still, Mr. Controller, I will still insist on the recovery, particularly those we refer to as private companies, simply because I refer you to the Limitation Act. I believe that some people want to take advantage of this act that you need to guide against. Other than that, we can be sure that those other companies of the private, you might not get the money. So, but can you tell us what effort you have made? Probably, do you have any document with regard to the effort you make to get those people and the recovery are not coming?
We have a whole huge file here to show all the reminders and letters that we have sent to them, asking for the money to be paid, to be recovered, to be paid by them. So there are reminders dated back 2015, 2016, and 2017. So regularly we sent letters to these institutions to pay up.
Thank you very much. The Treasury Department, is it true that they referred to you as Siberia? And now, I want to come to on the equity.
That question should not be answered.
Please.
Siberia
on the equity, on the issue of equity, if you go through it, page 56, and of course, if you look at this same report, Honorable Deputy Minister, you are aware, we came across this report for over 4 years, and it is still the same. There have never been any changes. So, do you have any intention to rather a company like, if you look at it on that page, Ghana Water in Surrey, that is still the name here. You are aware the name of Ghana Water in Surrey is still not the same. It's changed. You still have the same company there. Then you look at Ghana Food Distribution, it's not there. You look at Ghana National Trading Corporation. These are all updated or archaic companies that we don't even know, and we still have them in our books for so many years. Mr. Controller, did you make any effort requesting for the write-off of some of these?
Chair, I can go back. The auditors will also bear me out that these issues have been raised time and again, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that these accounts should be written off, should be recommended in these accounts that these companies will not serve anybody any interest. GNTC was dead several years ago. The companies that you've mentioned, you've called out, many of them do not exist several years ago. But as accountants, we keep records of these because we don't have the power to write them off. And the auditors are aware. We've always drawn the attention of the Auditor General to this issue. Maybe as an independent auditor, he could also, probably in his report, amplify our desire for these companies to be written off. I think they know it, they know of it. But much as you are still emphasizing, we cannot write off. That is our position. We don't have the authority to do so. So it is not something that we don't know. We knew it 15 years ago.
Mr. Controller, I'm aware you don't have that authority, but you know the procedure as to how to write this thing off. Did you make any effort through the Parliament ministries?
Mr. Chairman, we can go up to the extent to which we can go is up to our minister. And that is the end of it. That's the end of the road for us. We can
have they done that? Have they, or you per se, taken over from your office and knowing very well, because you were there already and you are aware of all these things? Unfortunately, you came back to head the very institution. Yes. So do you make an effort to meet your minister on this?
In my 2017 report, I will amplify it again there. But
thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will go through these companies and do the needful and get back to you. Those that we need to bring to Parliament for approval to disinvest some, we'll go ahead and do that and let you have it, and you advise us accordingly. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, on the same page, on equity share, if you look at ADB, 26 million, the first item, 26 million. We are talking about 2015. And you are aware on 2015, that very item you put there, the floating share was 500 million. Mr. Chairman, the controller, who is a seasoned accountant, I'm aware, once you are aware, in 2015, that was the floating. And even the ordinary share per value was 80 million. Now, you have it in your own books, accounting, recording 26 million. So now, can you tell us the Ghana as a government or as a country, our interest, and when you send it to the market, If you send your ordinary share to the market saying that it's 80 million per par value, it means you are simply telling that this is what you send to the market at least, even at all, if you are not referring to the floating of $500 million. But let's stick to even our ordinary share we send to the market as 80 million. So, but how did you have 26 million
Mr. Chairman,
in your books?
We are moving into the area of valuation of shares and businesses. We are not there yet. This account is historical. We'll show in the accounts the actual value that we paid. We can only value your shares at the time of disposal when you are selling your shares. That is the issue where all that, Mr. Chairman, you have described comes into play. But when you are not disposing your shares, neither are you going into a process of revaluation or what have you. You show in the account the historical values. You can check from any other source. That is the position accounting. That is the original value. If ADB is going to be sold, then the issue of valuation comes in, because we paid for 26,000. We can value at the market value now when we are selling. But you cannot value your shares at any point in time and show the value in the accounts.
Very good. Mr. Controller, I have also shown you your ordinary share, which is 80 million. I'm not talking of the floating share here, that you want to do the valuation and come out with what you are saying. And even besides, if you are not treating it in that context, but take the 80%, which I know Ghana government has 52% in ADB. So if you even want to do it with the 52%, then in your books, it should be reflecting the 41 million, not 26 million. So now, if you are saying that this particular item is not correct, then you are giving a misleading information.
We are not privy to the information that you have there.
There is not any. So, but I'll continue.
Let me just do a follow-up. These 26 million shareholding in ADB, do we know the number of shares that we have? Because this is a value. In terms of shares, what is the number? And what is the current value per share? Or do we, from time to time, value our shareholdings in this company to reflect current values of the shares? Mr. Chair, like I earlier said, you see, even government assets, we still what we have in the books are the historical values. We cannot, at any point in time, you put up a house, 10 years, it has appreciated. So you're going to value and show the new market value in the accounts. We don't do that. You show accounts in the historical values. It is only when you are disposing of it, then you compare how much is the market value, then you make a gain. So even though we pay 26,000, we can check on the number of shares, because it's a wholly owned company by government. I believe it might be 100% shares. I don't know. We can check on the shareholding position, and then let you know who are the shareholders and how much is their shareholdings. We can do that and then furnish you with the information, sir. Thank you, sir.
Chairman, may I refer you to page 58? Page 58. And the item is Nimon Ghana Limited. This report is telling us Ghana government holds 10% shares. Now, if you look at this, the balances, there's nothing showing there. It's zero. It's zero.
So before you continue, I just want to acknowledge the presence of the former chair of the Public Accounts Committee and the current Minister for National Security, Honorable Kandapa. In fact, because he deals with security matters, he has been here for more than 1 hour, and most of you don't know. Honorable Minister, you are welcome.
Chairman, to also continue, then let me add that my former teacher, so he taught me. I'm very proud of him. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Concerning Newmont, we'll get back to you on this. We don't want to speculate anything. So we'll get back to you on this with facts concerning this one. Thank you very much. I believe this should close the matter on Newmont.
Thank you. Mr. Controller, may I ask this? That has a lot of public interest. And with regards to the ghost names and those that were struck off, there were a lot of teachers in my constituency that called me, existing human, physical beings. Their name was struck off, indicating they were ghosts. Going forward, I know some of them suffered about 2 months before they can be restored. We want to be sure, or you assure the public, that those ghost indications that were made and the figures that were flooding everywhere of the media are not correct. Did you believe it me?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as part of cleaning the payroll system, government decided to partner with SNIT to do this. And in doing so, SNIT asked government workers to register on the biometric. And so we gave some timelines. And we said, if by this time all workers haven't done that, we will go ahead and then take their names off the payroll until they do it, and then we'll get their names back on the payroll. And Mr. Chairman, I believe it's helped in several ways. For you, the worker, it will make it simpler and easier. Should you retire, for them to be able to better assess your retirement benefits. And in a way, we were able to, establish the actual number was 26,000, and we are still left with about 3,000 that are yet to do the biometric. So we are not saying they are ghost names, but we wanted the right thing to be done. And moving forward, what we are saying is that we want to bring checks and balances in the payroll system. We want you to help us. We also want to help you. So let's all do the biometric. Once we do the biometric, we'll be in a better position to serve this nation better. Thank you.
Very well, Minister. In that case, the media publication and probably you as part of government, your achievement you indicated, you made so much savings out of those good names. It means that was not correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was an ongoing something. The very first month we decided to implement these measures, we had 26,000 people not being able to register and not having done the biometric. So, Mr. Chairman, if there's a ruling or there's a guideline, and let's say you refuse to comply with the guidelines, certainly when they are saying they are counting those who did not act on the guidelines, you will be included in it. And we are not saying ghost names per se, but we are saying that those who refuse to register on the biometric, their salaries were suspended until they were able to register on the biometric. We all are helping to improve the system and to prevent leakages from occurring moving forward.
Minister, I was very simple with this question. I said the figures put out there are simply incorrect. That is what I said.
What figures, Mr. Chairman?
The figures you put out there as part of your achievement and the amount of money you were saving from ghost name. You remember, that is, I'm saying that figure you put there is incorrect.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As of the time we made that statement that 26,000 people hadn't done their biometric, yes, they hadn't done it, so we didn't incur any cost at that time. So we can say that we made some savings there until they did the right thing. So, Mr. Chairman, we are not saying anything different from what you are saying. All we are saying is that we gave a guideline. We all want to improve on our systems. So we ask that they comply. So as and when you comply, your names are taken off. The names are taken off, or your names are restored and taken off the 26,000 who haven't done yes. Thank you.
My last question to you, Honorable Minister. My colleague, Honorable Kennedy, can come ask you with regard to payment, arrears. Particularly, he referred to the outstanding of this Assembly Common Fund. And I just want to cast your mind back to the media review when our finance minister appeared before the House. It was obviously clear that there were some kind of government retrenchment in your public expenditure. And in the same view, the director is aware that there was the capital expenditure cutback of 3.6 billion. Now, you are aware also that when you make capital spending and also paying arrears that are valued, you are improving the private sector liquidity and spending, and that is holding the economy. And the vice versa will also mean that there will be an effect on your domestic revenue mobilization. Will you say that cutting back capital spending and looking at the figure that can I go on? I know you were giving, but that is a public interest question. Go on. I have asked a public interest question, so I don't think you can. The chairman is, so now you are aware that if we go by this, it will certainly give us some pressure on goods and services in the country. There will be a severe pressure on the spending of goods and services in the country. But is it not part of the media review? That is exactly part of the media review. The 3.6 billion was part of it as a cut down, as a result of the cut down.
Honorable member, Honorable Minister, his term is ended. So that is a surplus question. You can decide to answer, you can decide not to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the mid-year review budget, we said that looking at our revenues, looking at our inflows, we do not want to spend beyond what we have. We do not want to borrow, as was done previously, to fund.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Reframe your statement.
Yes, we do not want to spend more than we have.
Because before the House went on recess, we borrowed $48 million for a project in Accra.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't finish. I said we do not want to borrow for recurrent expenditure.
To meet those in hand. So
yes, what I wanted to say was, what I wanted to say was that we don't want to borrow for recurrent expenditure. So we are cutting our quotes according to to our sizes. So what we did in the mid-year review was to reduce our revenues by 1.4 billion and then reduce our expenditures by 2.2 billion as well. But like we said, that is not going to affect the social projects that will impact on a large scale. I mean, the citizens of Ghana, like the free SHS, like the school feeding program, like the planting for food, and all these things. We are not going to cut expenditure on these things. So certainly, I don't see why it will shrink goods and services in the country or shrink expenditure in the country. And then secondly, we also said that we are going to go ahead and pay some of the outstanding loans. We programmed the 2017 budget that we're going to pay 20% of that. And we are on course. We are going to pay that, and including the DACF and then the GETS fund and all those other loans. But we have to plan so that we don't go beyond the budget and worsen our deficit.
Honorable Deputy Minister, if you reduce your revenue by 1.4 and reduce your expenditure. And the emphasis here on the expenditure, 2.2. Which type of the expenditure is the reduction coming from? Is it capital expenditure or recurrent expenditure?
Capital spending.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the mid-year review on paragraph 86, we reduced goods and services by 867 million.
All right, that is okay, which means that it's affecting goods and services.
It is affecting goods and services, but not on items or social items that...
Okay, it's understood. It affects goods and services, but not the social items that you're
not on social items that will have a major impact on the citizens of Ghana.
Again, the reduction, the media review, was a decision taken in Parliament in the form of approval of that.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Did Parliament approve that review?
Mr. Chairman, this wasn't a review. It was information that we were given to Parliament per the PFM Act that we are supposed to.
Which means that the original figures approved by Parliament in March still hold.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't touch the appropriation.
So I'm only telling you that what the minister came to do, he came not in the form of a motion, he came in the form of a statement for information for members. The House didn't take a decision. So if you say that you have reduced revenue by 1.4, you have reduced expenditure by 2.2, we do not know anything about that. The amount we approved for you in March still hold.
Mr. Chairman, if...
Honorable members.
Thanks for staying on the Joy News channel here, and that was live from Parliament. Officials from the Controller and Accountant General's Department, as well as Finance Ministry officials, have been responding to questions from members of the Public Accounts Committee. And the sitting is still ongoing, but would have to cut in transmission here and make way for sports today with a man who's got love for sports, Nathaniel Atto.